Welcome to the Free Play Arcade Podcast. I am Chris Delp. I'm here with Free Play CEO Corey Hayden.
It's me.
And the greatest Darkstalkers player to ever live in Denton County, Free Play Denton's own Emily.
Wait, is that Vampire Hunter 2 Darkstalkers? Or are we going
whole,
like...
I'm saying like the
entire
whole
series.
Yeah? She won the title on Vampire Hunter 2. Now, of course, like Carlos and Snuggleguns from Richardson took first place in that
Those are real
tournament.
people. I don't know what he's talking about.
But Denton County champion Emily right here.
So what Chris is really saying is that Denton County can't like represent Darkstalkers very well, and they need to step up.
I mean, Emily did fine, but you know, the rest may have left lacking.
Oh, come on, guys. I've never played that game before.
No one has
Vampire
Hunter 2 is the rarest of all the Darkstalkers games. Like, it's absurdly rare. And we brought it here. We're in Free Play Denton right now.
Yeah, let's back up a little bit and say...
Yeah, mash that subscribe button.
There you go. Mash the subscribe button. It's on this side of it's anywhere on the screen, or possibly not on the screen if you're listening to it on iTunes. Basically, any place where it might be available, iTunes, YouTube, wherever we have it.
If you're driving a car on the highway, though, pull over, get to a safe spot, then mash that subscribe button.
Right. Go ahead and exit as well if you're on the interstate. You don't want to pull over on the side of the road. I saw a nasty incident.
Just as an aside, I was driving around today. Why is 635 considered an interstate? It's just like a loop.
I know this. It is a loop off of Interstate 35. So this is the sixth.
So it qualifies?
Loop. It's the sixth loop off of Interstate 35.
All right.
635, and that's why.
All right. So today we are sponsored, literally, by Will Smith. His progeny, Jaden Smith.
That's correct. And his water company.
His water company, Just Water. You know, I should probably talk to him more about this sponsorship. We are distributors of Just Water. And, like, apparently this is eco-friendly. They always give you... Wait. Oh, there it is. They always give you a little place to write your name so that, like, if you're at a party and the party has Just Water and it's Just Water, you can all make sure whose Just Water is going in the right mouth.
Yes.
Really nice. I mean, that's really amazing. I mean, I'm pretty sure Jaden Smith came up with that himself.
He's saving the world from herpes.
Well, wait, I don't know what's going on now. But Jaden Smith, if you're listening to this, please call in. This is not a live podcast, but I think you can figure that out.
If you heard my previous podcast with Emily, you'll know we're just beginning. I'd also like to thank our secondary sponsor. That's Altered Beast in the background.
Yeah,
Thank you, Sega and Altered Beast.
This is the unlimited deaths of Altered Beast tonight. Also, the Paralic Glycol Chiller that is hooked up to our 52 taps at Free Play Denton. We have more taps than any arcade that I'm aware of existing, period. I've done some research on that. I haven't, you know, there's a bunch of weird arcades opening up. No one cares about them.
I'm relatively sure that's true. Like, I would gamble that it is true, but I'm just wondering if it's more than any two arcades.
Right. That's, you know, so like 1UP, I think normally has only like 8 or so taps. Ground Control has something like 8 to 16. I'm not aware of like a true like ultra growler bar beer bar that also has, you know, 50 plus original beautiful arcade games, blah blah blah. So I think we're like way ahead of the pack here at Free Play Denton.
I would hope so.
And of course, so we're coming to you from Free Play Denton. If there's a pink tint, it's because at Free Play Denton you're transported to downtown Miami, 1985. With only slightly less Jaden Smith. No.
Cocaine. Let's see, ninjas. What else? I recently saw a documentary about Miami in 1985. It's filled with...
Yeah, and we'll talk about this at a future podcast, but the best part of Miami Connection, the movie that we screened as part of our grand opening for Free Play Denton.
Emily, how many times have you watched that in a row?
I've only seen that film once, and it was great. Everyone should watch it.
I really love it because you never know who the good guy is. Because everyone is totally terrible.
Everybody's a straight murderer in that movie.
It's pure ridiculousness.
Everyone is detestable, except for the theory of Taekwondo, which is both in your heart and your mind.
That's right. And
it's a beautiful movie. It's
perfect to go against the ninja.
But that's for a later podcast. We're here to talk about Free Play Denton. Recently opened. We're like, what are we at, 2 months now? 2.5 months? So we opened in the middle of July. We're in almost the middle of September now, so we're getting really, really old. But so we opened Free Play Denton, right?
Already planning for that first year anniversary party.
Right. Actually, No, it doesn't matter. I was listening to a guy tonight play live music at a place that I was at. I think I'm gonna bring him up here. I think he's gonna be the introduction to live music. It's this kid who can play like 600 songs by request, and he's really good. Anyways, future like a preview for Free Play Denton. I think that's what we're gonna do. He brings his own like hype man. He's got his own speakers. It was like a really cool setup, but it was like a little one-man show, and he was awesome. Anyways, Free Play Denton's kind of smaller, and we're gonna get into that later. But for now, we're gonna talk about the like early soft opening of Free Play Denton. So we had some permitting issues, like we always do. TABC was like, "Listen, your landlord owns a brewery. That's not allowed."
That seems bad.
Yeah, it turns out he didn't actually own part of the building, so he wasn't really a landlord. But it still took a couple weeks. And what's really amazing is during that period of time, people get so angry. Like that couple of weeks that we're waiting, people are like, "This place is never opening, and I hate them." Like it immediately turns south the second you're kind of having to have a delay. So we finally got over that hump. We opened. We hired our staff. Emily, actually, so I didn't get to interview everyone at Free Play Denton. I was here when she came in to interview. That was really fun.
And you were like, "Nope, next."
No, this is actually a 100% true story. She walked out, and I was like, "All right, Cody, just call her hire." It was like, I knew, like, she seemed really, like, into, like, what Free Play was about. And, like, so, like, I felt like for sure she was going to be crushing it. She's been crushing it since. And it's really hard to do a podcast, I know, with your employer, like, 2 months in, because, like, you're, like, feeling like you have to say nice things. But no, we had an interview, and I think the first thing she said to Cody when he called, and she was like, "Are you serious? Like, what? Are you joking? Like, is this a prank phone call?" But yeah, so we were like, it's been really nice hiring just for Free Play Denton, because, like, I feel like we had so many applicants, like hundreds and hundreds. It felt like Richardson again. Free Play Richardson originally had 1,000 applicants for its jobs. We didn't have quite that many here at Free Play Denton, but there were just so many, and it was like wading through a ton of like different things, and then we just kind of had to open like come in and apply please, because like the hardest thing is you get 2 or 3 levels of resumes, and then the person won't show up for the interview or something, and it's just like it's brutal. So we worked through all of that. We worked through the TABC issues, and we opened on a Friday. So the occupancy at Free Play Denton is 133. This building right here where we're sitting has 133 occupancy. If you get above it, boom, the building is totally full. You're violating fire code. So we open on Friday.
Sir, I've seen 133 here quite a few times.
So we had that Friday we did 500 people, and I was like, whoops. Like, we had just launched marketing the second we opened, and I couldn't turn it all off. So then Saturday we had nearly 1,000 people show up at the door for a 133 occupancy place. Had to turn its occupancy like 6 or 7 times that day, and it was nuts. It was also 110 degrees outside. This was that Saturday. If anyone is in like DFW area, there was we had a bunch of 108 days, and then it had 110 on a Saturday. That was our opening day, and it was nuts. Line out the door the entire day. Which meant the door was open the entire day. And then all of a sudden people were like freaking out. They're like, they don't have sufficient air conditioning. They didn't plan this shit at all. All right, they didn't plan this at all.
It's the Emily podcast.
No cursing on the
There will be plenty of cursing on the Emily podcast.
But yeah, so it was really like brutal, because all of a sudden people were like thinking that we were expecting somehow that we'd have 1,000 people show up on our opening weekend one day, and that we had like just not planned adequately, and we scrambled. We started like looking at other spaces, filling out ways to expand, but ultimately we kind of felt like this place was perfect. Like, in many ways this feels like one of the best arcades I've ever been to, if not the best. And I'm 100% serious. I love Free Play Richardson. That'll always be my home arcade. I love Free Play Arlington because that's like this monster event venue, but every time I walk into Free Play Denton, I feel like I'm like in something really special. So I didn't want to change any of it.
Well, my feelings on Free Play Denton are, it's literally a mile from the first arcade that I can remember, which was in the UNT Student Union, a little room just like the back of Free Play Denton, with just a few games smashed in there and a neon sign. I still remember all the games like it was yesterday. It is the most authentic like Denton feel I could imagine. Like it's just straight out of my memories, and it's wonderful.
Well, and as a true 80s geek, right, like all I wanted to do was open a downtown arcade. Like Richardson, if you've ever been to Richardson, you know it is absolutely not a downtown arcade. That is suburbs, like weird shopping center that just happens to pop up. And in many ways, it's really cool because you get to discover free play. And when you discover free play in Richardson, you're like, this is like magic. Like, that's awesome. And then Arlington is this big, huge monster event venue. But we really, really wanted to capture that kind of like actual authentic downtown arcade. If you ever watched like those 80s movies, if you ever watched War Games or anything like that, you'll see these arcades that have like 20 or 30 games toward the front of the arcade, and they might have food or drink options in the back. Of course, in the 80s, they didn't even, like, somehow they missed the connection between beer and full-size arcades. Like, every bar would have a couple arcades, but they never really made that connection.
Well, okay, so back then, video games and arcade games were only for children, so
right.
every protagonist in a movie that happened to have an arcade would be the Karate Kid, and he would be 30-year-old, 16-year-old Ralph Macchio, so of course he couldn't have alcohol.
Well, yeah, right, and that was that kind of public interpretation of the arcade kind of set the 80s up. Mm-hmm. So now, of course, I got to open my downtown arcade. And we actually have, like, we're pushing 60 games here, and we'll have 60 beautiful, amazing, original arcade games here at Free Play Denton. And if I haven't said it yet, I need to make sure I say it a million times. It's $5 to come in here. $5 plus tax. Like, I think that's the thing. Like, if Chris or myself, but I mean, like, Chris was a true arcader, I was an arcader. If we ever conceived of a place that would have 50 plus beautiful working arcade games that we could play unlimited for $5, I would have never left. Like, I would have left. Well, I would leave at night. I'd be there when it opened the next day, and that would be my place.
Well, there's a special caveat to what I'm about to say, because Free Play, all of them, have the best upkeep of any arcade I've ever been to. But I do remember back in late 90s, I believe it was. No, mid 90s. So they had a $5 night. It was Friday at 10 till midnight. You could pay $5 to go to Just for Fun in Bossier City, Louisiana. And it probably had like 50 arcade games, not upkeep to this level, not this level of selection and curation. However, it was there, and I was there every single Friday night. Every single Friday night for $5. And that's in mid-90s money.
That's really funny. That's like really interesting. But yeah, so rundown, rough games in Bossier City, Louisiana, $5. Everyone was there. I bet it was pretty busy.
Yeah, that's correct. And I would just spend the whole time on some random shoot 'em up in the corner.
So, I mean, I think Free Play Denton is not only a great arcade, but it's an absurd value. And I guess that kind of naturally transitions. And we're going to talk about the games here a little bit. Like, first, I'm going to start at Chris. We're going to go to Emily. Then we'll go to, what is your favorite game at Free Play Denton?
Arkanoid. Love it. Love the roller.
The spinner.
That spinner, you can't replicate it. The best you can do is play it with a mouse, maybe. It's still not the same. Playing Arkanoid with the spinner is magic.
And I would say even Tempest on top of that.
Tempest as well. Yeah, you can't. If you try playing that on a keyboard, you just no.
Well, and so both of those games are direct. The spinner is directly connected to the game board. There's no like USB converter. There's no interpreter, right? So like if you were to try to play any game similar on your computer, even if you had a really high-end spinner, you're talking about added latency and not nearly the same direct feedback of those games.
And that game is so quick. It's so lightning fast.
That's the thing. Like with both Arkanoid and Tempest, you are a part of the game. As soon as you're turning that spinner, that is it. That is your input into the game. And we had Tournament Arkanoid at Richardson for a long time. Mm-hmm. Tournament Arkanoid is my favorite Arkanoid, except of course, if you've ever played, you get to the third level.
Bottleneck levels in that game,
and the public cannot naturally get past the third level. And even if you're a good player, you're gonna get kind of dealing with this third level for a while because the ball gets all up in this, like,
it's very puzzly in its elements as opposed to a lot of reactions.
So then original Arkanoid is great, but so Tournament Arkanoid is a JAMA game. It's naturally compatible with almost every cabinet that's ever been built.
Really?
Tournament Arkanoid, regular Arkanoid, not even close. It is a unique conversion class that is also has a spinner attachment. So you can't put them in the same cabinets. They need custom wiring work. But regular Arkanoid is much more balanced in its like progression through the levels. So Arkanoid's a good choice.
It's just a beautiful game. I love the design. I love Tournament Arkanoid as well. It's just bliss to have that kind of gameplay.
All right, Emily, favorite game here. Free play Denton.
I was super stoked to see that we had Soul Calibur.
Wow, so that's actually been like a controversial game because everyone's really mad it's not in every free play. Because that's the original Soul Calibur from Free Play Richardson. It was a launch game, and we brought it here, and the techs here have rebuilt it from the ground up. That was one of their projects during our build. Because I thought, you know, it would be cool to have it back out.
That's true, yeah, the control panel is quite a bit improved.
Right, yeah, it used to actually have two different
right, I think it had a guard, like in an odd place.
Yeah, so it had the traditional conversion, and they tried to make it like a dedicated version, and they've done a great job. So Soul Calibur is awesome. All right, so before I talk about my favorites, Chris, what's your least favorite game here? Now, keep in mind, we're about to rotate 5 games out in like a few days, so I'm really interested in the feedback here because I can tell you after you both choose whether or not your game will survive this month. Least favorite. I
don't even know.
So the big problem here is, of course, we have like 55 games, so it's a stacked
within
lineup.
my sight.
It's really a strong lineup. And figuring out what to remove is hard.
Yeah, I don't know.
But you gotta pick one.
Asteroids, just because like asteroids exists.
Right. Well, we also have Space Duel here, so it's kind of weird that we maybe the natural move would be just put asteroids here, take out Space Duel and Blastoids, because Space Duel is kind of like a 2-player asteroids kind of co-op thing. Blastoids is almost the same thing, and then asteroids exists, and it's maybe one of those few perfect games. So, all right, Blastoids is Chris's favorite game. We will make sure it's at every arcade he visits from now on out.
Not the worst.
And you're like, oh, fine.
Dr. Mario does not exist at Free Play Den.
All right.
It's all right, too.
Least favorite game here.
I honestly don't have a least favorite.
You gotta pick something. I made him pick Blastoids, which is a fine game, and Chris, I can't believe it.
I'll just tell you guys what I think people play the least.
I actually know the game in this entire arcade that is played the least.
I've never seen anybody on Blueprint, which makes me want to play it even more.
Blueprint.
Oh, yeah, so Blueprint's low played, but it's not nearly as low played as Gorf.
Gorf? We have a regular who comes in to play Gorf.
Look, there's always a regular that plays Gorf. Every place that Gorf has ever existed, there's one person.
Is Gorf the one that talks to you?
Yeah, Gorf is the early speech.
So why is it the lowest played?
No, we've reviewed like 16 days of video footage of the 35, trying to decide which games to take out, and Gorf was absolutely the least played. And I mean, you can kind of see why. I think it's a beautiful game. It's one of the first like multi-game style. It's one of the first that had digitized voice. But everywhere we've ever put Gorf, it's never lasted. That said, Blueprint has also never lasted. Blueprint's my maybe top 5 game for me. But it's never lasted in an arcade. Blueprint's rare. It's weird. And we've talked about it on the podcast before. It is creepy and somehow like rapey for like I don't understand, because Blueprint, the whole, you can kind of see it on the marquee. The whole concept of the game is some guy stealing someone's girlfriend literally, and then the guy who's
chasing her through the entire level,
and the guy who's trying to save his girlfriend has to find the blueprint for a ball launching machine so he can knock out the gremlin who's trying to get his girl, while he's dodging like bombs and weird spiders and random other occurrences in the game. It's a really weird game.
Hard to believe that game was made. Well, also hard to believe they made a board game of it later. I saw that at the National Video Game Museum.
That was my biggest shock of the entire National Video Game Museum event.
How?
That one of the weirdest games ever made somehow got a board game. We should just cancel all future After Dark events and just record people playing that, because it cannot get like any weirder than a Blueprint board game. But yeah, Blueprint is the rapiest arcade game in the Free Play collection. Oh, Chris is thinking, so. He's contemplating. I mean, there's some weird games that came out of Japan. I mean, those fighting games can get pretty just weird. Like, They either steal a generic American character.
Uncomfortable like gender scenarios in classic arcade games. Double Dragon is always the one that comes to mind.
Where he punches the girl in the gut.
I just like put a quarter in and then
and it introduces
boom,
you.
punch a lady in the stomach.
He punches her and throws her over his shoulder. No. All right, so games are weird.
Double Dragon. Good times.
We have Double Dragon at Free Play Arlington if you'd like to experience that.
Arlington now. Yeah.
It's I think going to.
It's a revolutionary game, and now I look back on it and it's like, oh my goodness, that's violent.
Okay, so Free Play Denton has a lot of awesome games though, and before I talk about what I really love the most and what I think has to go,
you're not getting rid of that, are you?
We should go ahead and spend some time on.
It's got to go in your living room.
What, Blueprint?
No. Your favorite.
Oh, well, no. Crystal Castles lives forever.
Okay.
Crystal Castles is awesome. It's beautiful. It's perfect.
You can play as a bear.
It is, yeah. Well, you're Bentley Bear going against weird Berthilda the Witch. Like, the whole, like, the storyline's interesting. The gameplay's interesting. And anyone who ever spends any time with that game generally loves it, which Blueprint is not the same. Blueprint, if you spend some time playing Blueprint, though you're really amazed that it got made, it's not like one of those games you're like, I'm just going to keep going back and playing that. But, so, we have a few prestige games here at Free Play Denton, and I want to make sure we visit them while we're doing like our Free Play Denton kind of chat. We have Escape from the Planet of the Robot Monsters. We have a dedicated...
I need to play that one.
It is, I mean, so... Escape from the Planet of the Robot Monsters was a relatively low manufacturer Atari game.
Isometric view, right? 3/4?
Yeah, and it uses Hall effect joysticks, which are the kind of magnetic movements. Just really, really interesting game. And of course, the whole story of the game is really interesting because you are literally escaping from the planet of the robot monsters. And so if you just conceive that that's the name of the game, you kind of understand what's going on. The gameplay is great. It's actually one of the lower played here, which I think is probably just my fault. I haven't done enough marketing to make people understand how cool that game is, because it's just perfect. And we've actually held that back for years to have as a launch game for an arcade. That doesn't work so well. But there's another game here that's in the exact same spot. We've held it back for an arcade launch. We think it's a total prestige game, but it actually hasn't been played as much as we expected. Does anyone know what that game is? It's a brand new game for Free Play Denton.
Narc.
You got it! Yeah, so Narc, we held back for a long time, thinking it would be a really cool game to bring to the world, because it's a medium res, and it's an absurd game, because you play as people trying to stop drugs.
Uber violent game. And you're shooting people,
yeah,
you're shooting drug dealers point blank with rocket launchers, and they're like blowing up into little mutoid man-like pieces.
You actually see their heads and their blood bouncing through the levels as you destroy the drug dealers, who are the baddest, like, worst people on the entire planet in the early 90s.
It is
because Dare was at full effect.
It sounds like some 70s propaganda.
Well, I mean, no, it's 80s, and it's actually like a direct precursor to Mortal Kombat in its level of violence. It's midway, correct?
Yes.
Digitized graphics. It was the first one to have that. Yeah, it was, which is the same thing that Mortal Kombat employs later. So yeah, very much in the same vein, but not a fighting game. A shoot drug dealers point blank with rocket launchers game, and Mr. Big is somehow involved.
I mean, yeah. So the whole plot is like, drugs are bad. Now you need to absolutely, I mean, kind of like Miami Connection.
Yes, it is very Miami
Kill
Connection.
Everyone. Like, it doesn't really matter.
Just say no to drugs. Just say yes to point blank rocket launchers.
So those were the two like prestige games we were coming in with, and I think they're both amazing. Neither one of them are due for rotation right now. And we audibled at the last second to bring in a cocktail joust here.
Oh, yes.
Side-by-side joust. They only made 500 ever.
I've spent a good 5 hours sitting next to that machine.
You with Lonnie McDonald, who came. He put his 10 million points up. What I really love, this is actually my favorite thing about like Denton in general, Free Play Denton, and the people who followed it. We made a generic Lonnie McDonald post, like him putting up a 10 million points, giving the thumbs up in front of the machine, and it got like 200 likes, no promotion, nothing.
Hey man,
just a ton of people were into it. They were like, wow, Free Play came to town, and now people were like doing high scores and stuff, and I was like, you know, we've worked so hard to get Richardson and Arlington to the point where people are excited about that, and you know, like spend all this effort, spend money, like all this marketing stuff, and the first time Denton ever does it, people are just like ecstatic. We got all these comments and stuff, and like people were like, I want to come play that game and see how, like, it was awesome. So that was different.
Lonnie's a podcast listener too.
Well, I mean, I don't blame them. It's an amazing podcast. We're here talking video games at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, this is my 8th birthday today.
We've done. This is not our first filming, our first event, and I mean, like, I only here just worked a full shift, and now we're here podcasting. We're talking video games. All right, so my favorite video game probably isn't a surprise. It's Crystal Castles. This Crystal Castles here plays great. I rebuilt it myself, just like I rebuilt the one in Richardson. But they're both amazing, and the great thing about Crystal Castles is, as soon as you have a responsive trackball, it's like a totally special weird game, because it doesn't use momentum or anything. It just goes exactly where the trackball goes. But I gotta give a quick shout out to Mortal Kombat 1, which is my favorite fighting game I think ever. And it's about to leave the floor. It's about to get rotated out. Mortal Kombat 1 cannot survive at any one location, but it is because it's raw. It's such a raw fighting game.
The presentation is phenomenal in that game. It took over the arcades because that sound is unmistakable. Like the sound of an uppercut, well, boom, echoes to the arcade. It's fantastic. Maybe not the most advanced fighting game, but it's straight out of what is it? Well, half the movies from the 80s. You have the Mola Ram, heart-ripping from Indiana Jones. Right. You have the Predator spinal rip. A lot of the character models are based pretty obviously from what's the Kurt Russell movie with Jack Burton?
Oh, Big Trouble in Little China.
Bingo. Yeah. So you have the gods. Shang Tsung is clearly the bad guy from that. So lots of authentic feeling 80s movie. It's cheesy. Honestly, it's perfect for free play, Denton. It feels like...
And it's gone.
Bye!
It didn't survive the first month and a half, or however long we've been here. No, so
plus you can win that comic book.
It's just getting replaced by Mortal Kombat 2. We always knew it would be. We brought out Mortal Kombat 1 just to get replaced by Mortal Kombat 2. Just because Mortal Kombat 2 is the actual game that everyone wants to play when they see a Mortal Kombat. UMK3...
Yeah, you want to hear and see Mortal Kombat 1, and then you want to play Mortal Kombat 2.
Right, and UMK3 is obviously the more polished, more tournament-friendly version, but there's just something lost in the presentation. There's too many characters, there's too much stuff going on. Mortal Kombat 2, perfect level of violence, perfect level of nonsense. It's just awesome. But my least favorite game here is
Mark
obviously...
says more violence. Mark wants more violence.
The Simpsons.
I was leaving?
No.
Okay, good.
No, but it's still my least favorite. It sucks on free play, man. Come on.
Yeah,
We've talked. I mean, this.
It's frustrating.
It's so hard because people are like, you gotta have the Simpsons and you gotta have the Turtles, which is kind of true, but man, on free play, it's no fun.
It's frustrating.
It sucks the joy out of a great game. Because it's like, oh, I died, here's another credit. Oh, I died, here's another credit. You never play it for real. And even myself, who knows I can just put one credit and stop playing, I still have to keep hitting that credit button and keep playing. And it's something, it's like totally set dressing at any arcade, at any free play arcade, any arcade that's set up for unlimited credits.
Yep.
All Konami games are just set dressing. They're there to make people feel like they're in an arcade.
What's a shame is they are really good games.
Right. Oh yeah, they're great.
Taking away the stakes of that game just makes it not fun anymore.
All right, so we've talked games a little bit.
Emily? Did we get Emily's least favorite? We forgot to twist her arm.
No, I said it looks like people don't play Blueprints.
She said that.
How dare you?
And then it makes me want to play it more. But now I'm not so sure.
Now send your angry letters.
It's actually a really fun game when you get to the ball launching mode, when you finish the first blueprint. And
you're like, oh my goodness, there's this extra level?
You're like, yeah, this is like a shmup all of a sudden. God, it's a weird game. But it's so beautiful in this weirdness, and I'm really happy that's in the free play collection, because I'm pretty sure we're the only arcade of this type of model. And I can go into blah 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 whether or not we're the first, but the only arcade of this type of model that has a blueprint. The only arcade, and that's actually a sad thing that's going to get rotated out. And I want to tell everyone that's listening to this podcast that they need to play it more every time they see it. Atari Force Liberator. We cannot get people into that game. We'll put a Missile Command out, which is the worst version of Atari Force Liberator, and people will eat up Missile Command. But you put out Atari Force Liberator, which they only made 750 or 800 period, and can't get people into it. I mean, it's not my favorite game either, but At the same time, it's really cool.
I think what you run into is you'll have a lot of people who aren't big gamers in general.
Right, they're gonna hit they're gonna hit their packs. They're gonna see their Street Fighters. They're gonna see their Mortal Kombat, their Simpsons, their Turtles, any pinball.
I guess some of those games, like Crystal Castles, is one. Atari Force Liberator is another one with a non-traditional control scheme. Yeah, people are coming in and they want to play, like you said, Simpsons or something, and they just hit the button, and it's a very familiar joystick button setup.
Yep.
I mean, sadly, I've never seen an Atari game like that with the ball.
No, Atari Force Liberator is really, really cool, but it's in the same exact like genre as Blueprint. Weird game. I mean, not nearly as weird as Blueprint, but a weird game that eventually has to get replaced at every arcade we put it at, and then it'll get rotated through the arcades a little bit, and then every arcade that we build and we launch, they get a Blueprint, they get a Liberator, because
I saw that game of the week. It's got a soft spot in my heart.
Right? I mean, these are great games, but every game at Free Play Denton is great. Like, when we only have 56, 57 games to work with, they're all going to be really, really cool. And I want to give a quick shout to Lethal Weapon 3 Pinball. Because that is actually, like, not only is it a pretty good pinball, like, especially when you compare it to some of these newer Sterns, you can kind of see, like, the care that went into even what was just a mass-produced super pin back in the day. Lethal Weapon 3 had a huge production number run, but there was a lot more, like, it just plays totally different. And the music design, the sound design, for a game that came out in the early 90s, it's really special. It's awesome. And I couldn't help but put it out because, like, Lethal Weapon 3, Johnny Mnemonic, Terminator 2 too, those were all, like, in the exact same genre of pinball to me. And because I think they all had kind of goofy gun interfaces or something.
I think this is all about just getting a Joe Pesci game out on the floor, right? Like, you tried with Narc, you heard there was Mr. Big, it's not Joe Pesci somehow. You put on Moonwalker, once again, Joe Pesci, we're eliminated. But Lethal Weapon 3, now you can have your Joe Pesci.
Well, if we want to talk the true tragedy of Free Play Denton so far, Free Play Denton launches with a beautiful, amazing, the best in the entire city, and it doesn't matter. Listen, and I'm looking right at you, it doesn't matter what other Twilight Zone pinballs come out. The best Twilight Zone pinball that's ever existed was here at Free Play Denton, and we had a minor issue. We almost got it fixed in time for open, and I just said, you know what, we need to just swap it. So we swapped it for Aerosmith as a temporary swap, and I swear to you, Aerosmith is now what every person in here plays. And
certainly what I drove it's straight here and played.
I cannot,
I love the IP,
for the life of me, like, figure out how to get Addams Family and Twilight Zone out to Free Play Denton, because we put Stern Aerosmith out and all of a sudden it's the biggest hit ever, and it frustrates the heck out of me because
you're just gonna have to take one for the team and go ahead and take Aerosmith pinball out, put that in my living room,
right,
and then put in your Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone, great table.
Twilight Zone is Twilight Zone's actually my favorite table of all time. Wide body, beautiful, has a ton of cool shots. And as I've gotten more and more into pinball, I've actually loved Twilight Zone more and more. What was the... there was a similar theme to Twilight Zone that I actually really loved too.
Addams Family?
No, I mean, that was also a great pinball.
Right.
But it was actually... It's more in the 60s or 70s ring. I can't think of it offhand. Okay, so we talked games. Let's talk really quick how insane it was when we opened Free Play Denton. So we talked just briefly. We had like 400 or 500 people that Friday. We had almost 1,000 people the first Saturday, and what was really great is that Monday, after we'd opened, so Mondays are normally our slow days, we then had another 400 or 500 people show up at the door, and it kept going for 3 or 4 weeks. We had turned off all marketing, and I was just talking earlier today, like, we ran a ton of marketing running up to opening, and then it was too crazy, so we turned it all off. And it took a month and a half. It took September, basically, before we've turned on any other marketing. And anyone who knows about Free Play knows September is when we kind of take the nice break. What's really great is, like, Chris has been around so long now, and I've been around so long now. Like, you can almost, like, set your watch to how the crowds work. And it's Labor Day. Labor Day weekend is nuts. And then the day after Labor Day is going to be one of the slowest days in the entire history of the company. And it's really beautiful because we're sitting there at corporate, right? We're like, wow, we just had the biggest weekend ever. And our Labor Day weekend this year was nuts. It was one of the best. I mean, it was the best weekend we've ever had. And then we're sitting there on Tuesday, and we're all celebrating because we're like, this was huge. And then that day, that Tuesday was the slowest day we've ever had in our entire company's history. It was, I mean, at least way up there. And I mean, it might have been borderline because we've had early opening Richardson days before anyone knew that we exist.
I think there was just a chill around the Metroplex because no one wanted a piece of Emily at Vampire Hunter.
Right. Vampire Hunter 2, was that the Tuesday night fight that followed Labor Day?
Yeah.
Oh my god. That's beautiful.
But we love Vampire Hunter now.
Vampire Hunter 2
says the undisputed Denton champion.
She's like, I keep wrecking noobs and like, I don't know. It's a good game.
We had to import players to beat her.
You had to import players to have ever played that game.
I had to pry my fingers from the control stick.
I mean, like, the real thing is, it's not that. I mean, I think Vampire Hunter 2 is really amazing, but
beautiful.
It's so absurdly rare. Like, it's just
a weird story that whole series has.
But Vampire Hunter 2, like, the fact that anyone's ever played it is almost impossible. Like, and they spent a ton of resources making it, but it was such a bizarre because, like, they took Vampire Hunter and they're like, let's just reimagine that game in our series, in our Darkstalker series.
In the next iteration, yeah, it's almost like a demake, really.
Right.
Like you look at Mortal Kombat 2 Plus, which we have on Free Play Richardson's floor. And they're trying to kind of like bring the presentation of Mortal Kombat 2 to what Mortal Kombat 3 has, but still maintain the simplicity of gameplay that Mortal Kombat 2 enjoys, right? This is kind of the opposite. We're taking like the complexities of Darkstalkers 3, let's see, Vampire Savior, yes.
Yeah.
And then take that engine, which everybody appreciate, and then subtract players and make it more like the second iteration. It's really complex. I don't understand why they did it that way, but it's... There it is.
They really loved their new engine, and they loved their old games, so they're like, let's just make them all over again.
Right, let's make Mortal Kombat 2 with just the Mortal Kombat 1 characters.
And of course, they were making it as arcades in America were dead.
Right.
And arcades in Japan, though they survived, they were still struggling too. So it was not a huge release, and we happen to have one of the very few carts that exist in the world here at Free Play Denton right now. And that's, I mean, it's part of what we do. It's what's really special. All right, so we're kind of talking. It was crazy. It's slower now. Whatever. We had so many people here. It was absurd. And I want to tell all of those people that were turned off because there were a bunch of people here. Like, my favorite free play experiences are when I have the whole arcade to myself. So if you're looking for something like that, get here in the next 60 days, 45 days. This is your chance to have a whole nother free play Denton experience, because once we hit middle of November, once we hit Thanksgiving, once we hit Halloween and then Thanksgiving and then Christmas, and when we get anywhere near Christmas, it's over. It's going to be crazy again. So you've got that period of time, some holidays to avoid, some big weekends to avoid, but if you want to come on a weekday right now, it is the chillest it's ever going to be, and it's beautiful. And it's something really special, and it's something that we kind of preserve. Like, at all of our locations, we never go crazy on our marketing during the fall, because I think it's when we build some of our most fervent and hardcore customers, because they come in and they have that magical experience that you couldn't expect, because you're just coming there on a Tuesday, you heard that an arcade opened, and all of a sudden you have an arcade with 6 or 7 other people, 10 or 12 other people, and it's just special. It's a whole experience. And so that's my advice to you right now. But let's go ahead and talk. Emily, what was it like coming into, not only was it crazy, but 52 taps? Was that the most intimidating thing in the entire world? I'm intimidated about it, still thinking about it, and I've consumed literally hundreds of thousands of beers right now. At this exact podcast. During this podcast, I've done it. No. So let's talk the taps. So you walked in. This is a state-of-the-art Uber system, probably the most insane an arcade has ever been. What was it like? Have you spent a lot of time since you started, learning about beer, learning about ciders, learning about just everything?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I was a big beer drinker before I even started working here. But
I remember that from your interview.
Yeah. And then
she had 3 beers during the interview, lining them up.
Yeah, we were just shotgunning them. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, because people are going to take you seriously when you say that, so you got to make sure you qualify that. When they hear like Corey giving interviews,
they're like, I don't know what's safe to say.
They're like, that makes sense. Actually, that sounds like a standard free play interview. No, okay, so you come in 52 taps.
I was overwhelmed. I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to memorize them all. You know, as far as serving people goes, that was what my mindset was. But trying them has expanded my horizons exponentially as a beer drinker. So if you are afraid to commit to a beer, get a 4 ounce. Just do it. Get a 4 ounce, get a couple of them, and try as many as you possibly can.
So that was actually one of our big concerns, was trying to figure out whether or not to operate like a growler bar or like an arcade or what. And we got these 4 ounce samplers, and they're the most like different 4 ounce samplers that I've ever seen. Like, I ordered them, I saw the photo online what they were, and I ordered them and they came and they were totally different than I expected, but now I love them. Like, I think these samplers are awesome.
Everyone says they're cute.
And it's really, really cool to have them, like to be able to serve these sample pours. It's like $2, $3 for a super premium, but almost always $2. And you can have a 4 ounce pour of a ton of different beers for about that $2, $3 price point, and really get to experience a ton of special stuff. And like it's funny too, because I've owned Free Play Richardson, which is one of the top. It's generally considered one of the top beer bars, like in Dallas. It's one best beer bar. It's one different things. And then we opened Arlington, and it kind of expanded on the same thing. But I have to admit, Free Play Denton has like totally expanded my entire worldview on craft beer really, really fast by just being able to pick and choose from 50 plus beers that aren't probably in packaged products. You can't get them anywhere else. It's totally sold me. Now, I'm not saying the next arcade will have 50 or even 20 or 10 or even 6 taps, but
I love the growler system. I love being able to come up here.
And so that's totally new, right? For free play.
Well, I personally don't drink.
Right.
My girlfriend loves a cider, so we have a huge cider list, and I literally every time I come into Free Play Denton, I get a growler of a different cider every single time, and I take it back. I've already gotten my one for today. It's the
you got Finn River cider.
Yeah, I got the
So you can never go wrong with Finn River, right? So about a year and a half ago, I made a blood bond through the internet, because most of my stuff is done, but with the guys or ladies and PhDs up at Finn River, and I just they sent us some samples, and I was like, oh my god, there's no way I was kind of over cider at the time, and I tasted this and I was like, this is just insane. And so far, every product of theirs that I've had, it's so far above, it's such a step above. We're really lucky we even get them in Texas. Like, when you think about the logistics of them shipping their ciders from Washington, where they grow their own apples, they you can read stories about them going to pick their own wild lavender and stuff, and trading with their neighbors to get the exact formulas they're going for. It's like this just amazing story, and they're going so far above every other cidery that I'm aware of. And I have a ton of friends at a ton of awesome cideries, but Finn River is just insane. And so Finn River Pear, I had actually had that before tonight. And then I was trying to sample to pick your thing. I had a bunch of really good ciders, and then I drank Finn River Pear, and I was like, nope, that's it. You gotta get that. And so, but that's the thing. I was able to sample 7 ciders on draft tonight at an arcade.
Right.
That's nuts.
I also appreciate the Nitro Cold Brew coffee on tap 52. I'm always grabbing one of those.
So yeah, those were the two. That's actually kind of a fun story. So when I first announced Free Play Denton, I thought there were 20 taps here. I had walked through one time, and I had allocated 10 per side of the tap wall. And so now it's Free Play Denton. I was like, we will have 20 taps. And everyone's like, 20 taps? That's amazing. Yeah. And so then I walked in, and someone sent me a photo, and they only sent me a photo of one side, and it has 25 taps on each side that you can see. And I was like, oh, I was wrong. There's 25 taps. So then we changed it. And I was like, there's 25 taps in an arcade. And people were like, 5 more taps. This is crazy. And then we walked in that first day, and I was like, hold on, guys. Hold on. There's 2 sides. They're like, yeah. And I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna have to eat something for this. So I gotta announce it. 50 taps. And everyone was like, mind exploded. There's 50 taps in an arcade. And then seriously, there's 2 on the side I never noticed. And our beer guy comes, who's helping us set up everything. Because I mean, we had a ton of knowledge, but we had to have consultants, contractors, and stuff come in and help us build this. He said, "Yo, what about these two?" And I was like, "What two?" And he's like, "You have 52 taps." And I was like, I was really excited at this point. I'm like, I gotta announce this 52 taps. So that's where we are right now. 52 taps, which is good because we have 4 screens. That means 13 per screen. Everything is great.
There's got to be room to expand the taps here somewhere.
Right. We need more. No, and we have learned so much about taps generally, about beer pouring systems, about CO2, beer blends, and cleaning. I think we have more than, I think it's something like 1,500, so 1,500 feet of beer line just at Free Play Denton. And it's a whole process. It's a whole new thing. It's really cool. It's amazing. And I mean, I've been to a lot of the bars in Denton, and I think, you know, and the careful thing about Denton is everyone's really friendly. So and they've all been really nice to me. So I cannot. There's a lot of awesome and amazing bars here in Denton, but there's nothing quite like our tap wall in Denton. Like it's quite unique. And I'm not saying just because we have 56 arcade games. Just by itself, the beer product we offer is relatively unique here. And I'm really proud of it. And I mean, again, we have tons of friends here in Denton that have a ton of great beer, and I'm not gonna go after them. Whereas in Richardson, I would talk trash about a ton of people because Richardson's a whole different world. Arlington,
it is a whole different world. Like, you can walk around here. We're near the square. You can walk to so many like interesting places. It's a great scene out here in Denton.
Well, and it's very communal, and I don't ever want. I think that's really, really amazing because it truly is communal. Like, we have some of our biggest regulars are people that would in other places be considered our competitors, and they come here all the time, and we go to there, and it's just like this really communal experience here in Denton.
Yeah, it's become a Tuesday night fights tradition for me to get here way early on a Tuesday, like noon, and then walk about the square, find a new place to eat, come back here, and then 3 o'clock hits and it's Tuesday night fights time.
So we did this last podcast. We have like 3 negative reviews so far from Replay Denton. I don't know, have you looked at any of the reviews ever?
I looked at a couple one day because the responses that you had were so perfect.
So if there's one good use for my law degree right now, it's destroying people on the internet.
It's great.
And it's piece by piece like destruction. It's really hard. But no, I mean, the biggest complaint early was we were too busy. And it's so hard as a business owner to respond to that because I'm like, please stop coming. Everyone stop coming. Give us I want a break so that we can just like get you, and which we now have, right? September, that's our break. And I should have known that it was coming because like there was no way for me to force it. Nothing I could have done. Like, we ceased all marketing efforts for all of August. Not a single dollar spent on marketing, and it was still too crazy. It started to calm down by the end of August, and now we're in September and things are great. And now we get to really ramp up, which is much better for opening a business because there's no way to plan for a 133 occupancy location, getting 1,000 people on one day, 2 days after they've set up all their systems, because you know the employees aren't ready for that, our beers aren't ready, nothing's ready for that, our games, no one can possibly prepare for that. So now we're really in a great space. We've been able to kind of settle. Everything's awesome. I'm really stoked about it. But like, the only other complaint was kind of attacking the free play model generally. But I want to just like re-emphasize here, it's $5. Like, and nowadays you can say what you want about like American culture, but $5 doesn't do anything.
Are we talking about the I could play for a quarter?
Right.
Yeah. That I can too. I can go and put a quarter in Galaga and play all night long. All night long, no problem.
Well, yeah, that's
not fun.
Chris is probably the best person for this because Chris was at Richardson when it was rawer than it is now. I mean, Richardson's so absurdly stacked now, and all of our arcades are crazy because we're established. But you were coming to our arcade when we were first opening, and I mean, we had the game. You had Miss Pack. We had Galaga.
Right.
And if we were a quarter arcade, you could play for a single credit the whole night. but you were still coming. It didn't matter, paying $10 every night and just coming to game with everyone that was around.
Right. Well, yeah, I could enjoy multiplayer games without the worry of like if it's winner stays, loser pays. It could get expensive if you've never played this game before. Not so at free play. I could play as much as I want. I could make relationships with the other people playing. It was great. You know, if I really like Soul Calibur, I can come to Free Play Denton and just play into the night with whoever's around, whoever wants to play a game with me, and there are no stakes other than hitting the start button, right? And then all these other games like experimenting, like, you know, I do remember that free play, I'm sorry, not free play, I remember that UNT Student Union arcade that reminds me so much of Free Play Denton. And I remember every single game in that arcade, and I only played Ms. Pac-Man. And I only played it some of the time, because I only had a quarter.
That was where
to
you
spend,
got your value, right?
That's where I got my value. I remember Rampart there. I never played it. I remember Turtles there.
They had a
I
Rampart?
never played it.
Rampart's
I remember
great.
tons of games. Never got to play them. Never would play them because, again, I need to, if it's a quarter, I'm going to play the game that's giving me the most value for my quarter.
Yeah, mine
When
was
it's
like Mortal
$10,
Kombat 2. Like I could play, I could pay a quarter or 50
Right,
cents.
winner stays, loser pays, so
and
you can
play
just
Mortal
stay.
Kombat 2 for a long time.
Right, exactly.
And it didn't matter if I was just being totally cheap with flying high kicks, uppercuts, and sub-zero freezes. It didn't matter
Just
because
extend the quarter.
Yeah, I could stay there for a while, and that was it. That was the whole goal. I wasn't having fun. No one was having fun. It was Mortal Kombat. No, I'm just kidding.
No, way back in the day, the defunct GameWorks in Grapevine, I won a year's worth of free play, and then I just had the run of the place. Every game, all the time. That's where I got so good at NBA Jam and NFL Blitz. It was all free. And then towards the end of that, I had to start thinking like, okay, my free play is running out. I need to start like getting good at one of these games where I could, like Mortal Kombat 2, and in my case it was Tekken Tag. That's why I became a fighting game player, was specifically so I could extend the value of my quarters. That is just not the case on the free play model. You come in here, you try a brand new game. If you listen to us go on about how good Crystal Castles is or Arkanoid is, you're probably not going to put a quarter in that, but you can come to free play and just play.
And even beyond like Arkanoid and Crystal Castles, we're able to bring games like Blueprint out. Like Blueprint, if you're in a quarter arcade, there's no way we'd ever put it out.
Right,
we'd
have it in the back. The quarters.
It would be our treasure in the back of the workshop, and that would be it. Because we could just put 2 mispacks or 3 mispacks or 5 mispacks out and make more money, which is what actual arcade operators did back in the day. But you can kind of start seeing it at some of the quarter arcades now. Even the barcades are starting to really double.
Get the performers in there.
All right, double up on the games. They care about that stuff. Here we don't care about it at all. I mean, we track it. We're aware so that when we rotate games, we're not ever going to rotate something that is like a weird cult hit. Which, speaking of cold hits, here at Free Play Denton, I forgot to mention it. Diet Go-Go is crushing.
Diet Go-Go, yeah, always.
Because it's amazing.
Those single screen platformers, I don't know what it is about them, but they just always get their following.
Well,
Diet Go-Go too.
The great thing about Diet Go-Go is like all these single screen platformers always get kind of laggy. They have some issues keeping up when you get later into the game and you're all spamming projectiles and stuff, but not Diet Go-Go. So that's my favorite part about Diet Go-Go. It's always smooth. You play Nightmare in the Dark, which is an unbelievably beautiful, awesome game.
As are a lot of those Neo Geo classics.
Yeah, but it's almost unplayable as you get deep into the game.
See, and Snow Bros was also popular.
Yeah, Snow Bros lags a little bit. But you know what? Diet Go-Go is a little easier than Snow Bros.
That's true.
And I kind of like it more. But Snow Bros
it's
also,
a riot.
Yeah, I mean
plus,
that's the thing.
Plus, you're eating cake, you're getting fat, then you're getting in shape. It's very weird.
You better not get fat, or you're gonna lose. Diet Go-Go's awesome. So I mean, Free Play that's like being able to have a conversation like that is why the Free Play model is awesome. Diet Go-Go wouldn't be a game like even in our consciousness.
They never even try it.
Yeah, if we were trying to get caught. So we did have a complaint where a guy was like, I only spent like $30 or $20 at this other arcade that was set to coin play, and it makes me bang as an arcade. I'm like, but you paid $5 here. And he was like, I would pay slightly more. I'm like, doesn't matter. $5 is beautiful. It's such a great price. Being able to enjoy these games for $5, and yeah, you can get any beer from one of the best beer selections, not only in Denton but in all of DFW. And it's probably overplayed at this point, but let me go ahead and remind everyone, Free Play Arcade as an entire entity was just nominated for having one of the best beer selections in all of Dallas-Fort Worth. We're one of 6 entities nominated, and the 5 other entities were crazy good. Now, people have said, maybe Free Play is batting above its weight, like being able to be nominated with these places that it was nominated for. But I just want to say how crazy it is that we're living in a day and age that an arcade is being nominated alongside beer specialist bars. These are hardcore beer specialist bars, and Free Play is at least competing with them. It's really crazy, and I mean, I think the offerings in Denton are insane. I mean, for someone that doesn't drink to get so excited about them, that's how I know we're doing a good job. And of course, the whole package. I mean, I guess I should go ahead and address the cheesiness of Free Play Denton. Like, I did not hold anything back when I went Free Play, when I went Miami style. And I guess, Emily, what is it like working under a bunch of flamingos and pink lights? Like, did you think that I'm just crazy? Did I go too far?
It's great. You did not go too far. You did not go far enough.
There we go. So here's actually what I'm thinking. Behind the cameras right now.
More flamingos.
More ninja.
I think we need like a palm tree flamingo Free Play neon that flashes. Like the flamingo dips its head into the water, and the palm tree, like, it actually changes neon. I gotta bring that back, because the problem with like modern neons, right? LED neons are beautiful and they look just like real neons, except they can't really flash the same way. So we gotta have custom bent neon, which Free Play Denton has 2 custom bent neon signs on. We built one in the back and in the front. It's actually made in America, neon, true neon, our big signs here at
Emily's rubbing off on you.
I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, my filter is dropped. But no, we have all pink lights. We have flamingos. I don't actually know. I need to check. Has anyone talked to y'all about putting those little lawn flamingos out in the front?
Someone stole them.
Are they all been stolen?
Well, we put them out one night, and we lost 2, and I brought 1 back in.
I bought, so yeah, that was actually the test. I bought 6 flamingos. I was kind of hoping that we'd like hardcore plaster them in like Free Play stuff and start finding them around Denton and stuff. I mean, I'm always trying to figure out new marketing angles.
I think it was someone who was drunk and they just took it home.
It also turns out that lawn flamingos are more expensive than you expect, based on the movies giving us because you always had like the flamingo house that's like 35 flamingos. Then it turns out that movie spent like $1,500 putting those flamingos on that lawn.
I ran into the same issue when I was trying to buy Monopoly money. Way more expensive than you would think. Yeah. I want to thank the United Bros of Beltran for providing us with our fake currency, our cryptocurrency that we give away at Sunday.
One of my favorite things that has been added to Free Play Denton lately is the Colt 45 Lando Calrissian ad.
Oh, it's so good.
Because it works every time.
Yes.
Has the Colt 45 happened yet, and then are people buying it yet?
Yes.
Just checking, because I've actually talked to one up in Denver, who we stole that from. One Up is not a craft beer bar. They don't care about like the nice beers. They're a total dive bar arcade, which we love them. They're great, but they sell 40s for $10 a pop, and we don't sell them for that high, but they sell a ton of them. And I was talking to them just a couple weeks ago or a week ago, and they were talking about how there are corner stores that come to them to ask for like advice on selling 40s, and they're like, just make 40s the only beer you have, and have 100 arcade games, and people will buy a ton of them. And that's it. They sell a ton at $10 a pop. I'm really proud of them. That's really amazing. We are not, but I love selling Colt 45. Colt 45 is one of my favorite things. Which, so Emily's never heard this speech, so I want to make sure I talk. The greatest thing about Colt 45 is if you have like a group of people, and it's normally a group of guys that walk in, and they're all like figuring out what they're going to order. They're looking at the beer list, and one of them orders a Colt 45. You're gonna have like 6 Colt 45s ordered because it's like a masculinity thing. They're like, I have to represent. I have to be as cool as my bro.
Don't let Lando down.
And they all have to. I mean, it works every time, Chris. Have you read the advertisement?
I have heard it.
So
I have been reminded by many free play patrons.
The cool story about that advertisement is that is not originally from the. I mean, the image is actually originally from the 80s. That was one of the earliest like Photoshop style images, which it has. You can't see it on the screen, guys, but it's Leia in like mild. I don't know, one of her photo shoots, one of the Carrie Fisher photo shoots.
It looks like metal bikini Leia.
Right, yeah. With her arms around Lando Calrissian. And it's a Colt 45 ad that actually says, instead of the normal, which it was Billy D says, it works every time. This one actually says Lando Calrissian says, it works every time. And they had these like flyers and banners and stuff printed. They were all like bootleg things back in the 80s. So I had to look for it, and I found it eventually. I had to pay someone too much money to print these on magnets. Because we'll probably get shut down over them because Lando's gonna come, and that's actually the truth.
Big Lando,
if anyone is gonna do like a copyright claim on this, it has to be Billy D himself coming to Free Play Denton, shutting us down, because that would be really awesome. If we go down in any way,
you'll just frame that.
Yeah,
frame your cease and desist from Lando.
If I have to go down, it's Lando himself shutting us down. All right. So this is like the most like least focused podcast we've ever had. We're at Free Play Denton.
We have to beat that record.
We have to wrap up pretty soon. Does anyone have anything to add about Free Play Denton? Chris, do you have any like thoughts, any memories?
Can I play Aerosmith pinball after the podcast?
All right, I see. So Chris,
the answer is yes.
I mean, I just want y'all to know that Chris is the enemy here, guys. Like, if you think
no, get rid of it.
If you think about the timeline we've established, Aerosmith replaced Twilight Zone pinball, the best Twilight Zone that's ever existed.
That was honestly very sad for us.
We can't even replace it now because everyone liked Aerosmith. It was unexpected.
I just like Aerosmith. I don't even care about the pinball on that part.
So hold on, let's talk about Steven Tyler.
Okay,
really quick. And Liv Tyler. And Armageddon.
Okay.
So I was like, I don't know why, because I was younger back then, like when it was kind of creepy. How creepy is the Liv Tyler, Steven Tyler, Armageddon, Aerosmith thing?
The love song to his daughter?
Well, right. I don't want to miss the thing or whatever. And you got Ben Affleck. He's like walking the animal crackers down her underwear, right? That was the movie, right? I'm not misremembering this.
I saw it once.
As a side note, Ben Affleck, I think, is one of the greatest actors of all time. I'm really, really in a minority here. I love Ben Affleck. I think he's great. But Liv Tyler and Steven Tyler are weird. So I want to talk about that really quick. Do they have I Don't Want to Miss a Thing in the Aerosmith pinball?
No, it does not.
Oh.
Nah,
they're just trying to forget about how weird it got.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so we're here at Free Play Den, wrapping up a just amazing podcast. We've had people dying in the background for like 63 minutes.
That beast is still getting altered back there.
He's turning into a monster.
Yes.
We have a ton of awesome games. Free Play Den is seriously one of my favorite arcades ever. Like, I have a hard time not saying that right now this is not my favorite arcade ever. Like, this is my favorite arcade at this exact moment. I'm sure it'll change, and it's not just because we just opened it. It's like there's something really special about Free Play Den, and
there is.
I don't think I've captured it in this podcast. I don't know if I'll ever capture it in words because
let's do
that's hard.
4 more podcasts tonight going over it.
I will just say that it's awesome that we're able to share these games with generations. Like, there are kids who come in here and love us.
Well, actually, that's the coolest thing about Free Play Den, because Free Play Den is a harder bar than our other arcades. And kids are just like, "Yep, we're here," and they're like, and the parents are like, "What kind of soda you have?" And you're like, "Let me talk to you about our weird craft sodas and stuff." And that's awesome. Like, because I mean, for real, this is a bar, and I think it's really beautiful because as a kid, I grew up in bar arcades. So my whole life is now creating bars that kids have to go to. No, Free Play Den is awesome, and it really has been a surprising experience here in Denton with just how many people love what we're doing. And it doesn't really, it doesn't matter what else we do. Like, it doesn't matter if we're handing out shots to every adult that walked in. People just keep coming and love us. Like, these games are amazing. It's really what I'm getting at. It's beautiful. It's awesome. I'm really proud of this place. I think we do need the palm tree, flamingo, animated neon. We've talked about some sort of live stream high score thing behind you, Chris. Like a screen that streams the, it just flashes one game at a time, high scores from the community group. I think that'd be cool.
I like the one game at a time idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it just
curate your own high scores.
If it's slowly flashing the high scores for the games here, I think that could start something. We're very dark here. We've got a lot of black walls, so we've got a lot of decorating to do. as we have at every arcade. That's kind of how we start, and then we slowly fill it all in. But for now, we're here at Free Play Denton. You have about negative an hour and a half to come play here tonight. But tomorrow, they open at 3 p.m. Every weekday, they open at 3. What is it? Monday through Thursday, 3 to 11. Friday, 3 to 2 a.m. Tough on the bartenders. Y'all better tip well. Saturday, 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. The most brutal day of the entire world. Sunday, it gets a little easier. 11 a.m., 11 p.m. And then you're back to that Monday, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Awesome. So this is the place. If you're in Denton County and you haven't been to Free Play Denton, you have missed out on one of the greatest experiences of your entire life. So head out here. For now, we're signing off. I hope y'all got something valuable out of this podcast because I've loved doing it. I love the energy in Free Play Denton. I feel like every podcast should be recorded here no matter what it's about. But we're signing off. We've got Chris, we've got Emily, we've got Corey, and we're out. Bye.